take 2 of my terrifying troubling video about tripleizing. Ugh, I got powder all over everything. Check it out. Long has man quested for the ability to have more than 1 or 2 or 3 chain rings. Traditionally what you would do is you would just buy shifters, cranksets, whatever, that would allow you to have the gearing that you needed. However, there are some problems with that. The first thing I want to talk about is a tripleizer. So tripleizers were generally used if you had something really nice, like Campy Record or Shimano Dura Ace, that you either already owned and wanted to get lower gearing for it, or maybe you had let's say you had like a beautiful Colnago Master. It was a great bike, only you're fucking old now and you can't pedal up the hills like you used to be able to. Well, there's a solution for that. It's a tripleizer. So these are really neat. They came in a lot of different bolt circle patterns. This particular one is made by TA Specialties. I've marked it in beautiful lavender for you. And yeah, you could have one for Campy 135 BCD. This one is for Shimano and other Japanese cranksets like Sugino 130. I've seen 110. There's even been 144 for classic Campy and classic just general purpose road. I mean, because let's be honest, they were all copying Campy at a certain point. So the basic premise with these is you attach this middle ring here. I guess in this case it's just the outer ring, but you attach it in the... Come on. Find your home. You attach it on the inner position, turning it into a middle ring. Now you've turned your normal Ultegra double, or Dura Ace, or Campy, or whatever, into a really attractive, very useful triple crankset. Now, I make it sound easy. It wasn't quite as easy as that. You had a lot of problems with, I want to say chain line, especially in a system like this. So there were basically 2 sizes you could get these bottom brackets in. Yes, I know there are exceptions. I'm not forgetting that XTR had a 113 millimeter version of the Octolink bottom bracket. But generally, if you were going to go into a store and buy an Octolink version 1 bottom bracket, which is what these Ultegras would have taken, what you're going to get is a choice between 109.5 and 118.5. So that would be spindle length. Now, on a square taper crank, like let's say we were looking at some old Campy Record square taper, that's not an issue. You can just get the appropriate bottom bracket to fit. Mikke, which is a company that often makes Campagnolo copies and knockoffs. They're not knockoffs, they're just clearly like the big dude who gets all the pussy in their neighborhood is Tullio Campagnolo, and they start wearing the same jacket as him. Cut their hair the same way. They're kind of copycats for Campy. But you could get various length Campy taper bottom brackets, so you could fine-tune it. So I've never attempted to tripleize an Octolink version 1 crankset. I'm thinking it would work. I mean, all else being equal, the cogs should be moved out the requisite amount to enable the shifter to work, which means that more likely than not, just popping a 118 in there will cause it to function as you wish. The other problem was you needed to have a triple shifter. So with down tube shifters or bar end shifters, anything friction, that's not a big deal. You just pull the lever more and it will shift into that third gear. For index shifting, you're probably going to need to buy a whole new shifter. Except, and again, this is why tripleizers are more commonly seen on Campy stuff rather than Shimano or anyone else. Original Campy ergo levers, they actually operate much like friction shifting. So you have a downshifting thumb button and you have an upshifting blade. And on the classic Campy ergo power stuff or ergo stuff, it's just a multitude of clicks. So with a Shimano shifter, you have between 2 and I think 5 clicks depending on which group you have. The ones that have 5 clicks, they're like trim clicks, so you can do half steps. So 1 click just moves the derailleur over a little bit to keep your chain from making noise. Second click will shift it up, and so on. And at their worst, on the very cheap stuff like Sora, you have 2 clicks. You just have shift from the smallest ring into the middle, and then the second click will shift you into the big ring. The Campagnolo stuff, it's like 30 clicks. So anywhere in the range of the front derailleur, you can move the chain. It wouldn't matter if it was a single, a triple, a double, or a quad, as long as the distance you were moving the derailleur was within the range of the amount of cable that your shifter could take up. Anyway, I thought this was really neat. We're trying a new thing today, by the way, where I'm plugging in a microphone, and we're going to see if me doing this is still cutting out the audio. It's just pretty, don't you think? I mean, it looks this way because it has to. These cutouts are there so you can mount it and so that it can fit on the crankset, but it's just a nice looking piece of material. Moving on. I got plans for this boy. This is a Tioga OT1. It's used to put a triple on anything that would take a traditional BMX style crank. So, normally with BMX chain rings, you have your crank go through the hole, and on the back side of it, there is a small peg which fixes the cranks, the chain rings in place, and imparts the rotational fuckery, basically. Can you tell I'm tired? I'm having a hard time with this video tonight. Anyway, I don't know what the hell these were for, okay? If I had to guess, which I do have to guess, so here's my guess. There was a sport called Formula 1 BMX. It didn't take off, and it was kind of silly at the end of the day. I think the intention with Formula 1 BMX was to get more people interested in different kinds of 20-inch wheel BMX sports. So, to sort of give you a recap of what it looked like, you had BMX bikes, sort of. You had really long seat posts, you could get full leg extension. They had fairings like super bikes. So you'd have big plastic fairing on the front of your BMX bike, and they would usually have derailleurs, slick tires, and you would go around a parking lot course that was designed to sort of be a faux Formula 1 course. The bikes are super duper cool. Formula 1 BMX as well as gravity bikes that were based on BMX bikes are some of my favorites of all time. So the plans I have for this are I have in my backyard rotting an old 24-inch, very strange sort of BMX bike that I can't get any information on. It was made by Schwinn, and it has like cruiser class geometry. So cruiser would be like 24-inch BMX. Cruiser wheels, except for one thing. It's multi-speed. Factory installed, triple chainring in the front, and I think a 6-speed freewheel in the back. I've already made it pretty silly by basically welding 2 seat posts together and then reinforcing them so I can get full leg extension. But when I say it's multi-speed, what I really mean is like it has derailleurs and chainrings, but it's all such garbage, just such unmitigated trash, that I've been slowly collecting parts with which to make it a legit bike. It's like silvery gray and has beautiful blue decals. So someday, I will put it on YouTube and you can see my diarrhea of a madman. But wait, that's not all. There was one which I neglected to save an extra copy of. I sold the last version of this the other day to a kid who wanted extra gear range. This is from a company called Mountain Tamer, and they made the Mountain Tamer Quad. So the Quad does the exact same thing as the Tripleizer chainring, only it adds a 4th chainring, as you can see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? What the fuck? This has got to be Photoshop. Anyway, the basic gist is that you still need to move your cranks outboard using a longer bottom bracket, but you can bolt this on to the triple position. You can still have your triple chainring, and you can add an additional one. This is overly complicated. There are a couple different types of these. The one that is pictured is splined, has a lock ring or a C-clip and actually, oh, actually this is, I get it now. This is an additional development that I hadn't seen yet. So they're putting 2 additional goddamn chain rings onto the back of this. That's why. The old ones were just 1 additional chain ring. So my guess is they're using Suntour cogs. The one that I owned when I was a kid, you would go to the bike store and they usually had the, like a pegboard, like that stuff. That would be the Suntour build your own freewheel or cassette board. And they would have all the different size teeth and all the different spacers. So, you know, these guys were utilizing an off-the-shelf solution for smaller rings that could fit and be modular and be swapped out. The one that I sold, which I wish was here so I could show you, it was a quadraphenia that actually just took normal chain rings. It was bright goddamn purple, and I ended up mounting it to a campy racing triple crankset. Well, c'est la vie. I don't have it. Still, it is interesting to note that despite 1x setups and compact doubles and all this other stuff, maybe it's because I live in Seattle, but lots of people are still mega into triples, and some fuckers are even into quads. Yeah, I'm going to do one more video tonight on Keith Bone Rager, so stay tuned for that. But for now, that's about all I have to say about this useless garbage that no one cares about. Good night.